We are now entering into our second virtual field visit, and I'm very proud and happy that we have Oulozone Plus with us here. You're working with autonomous machinery adapted to Nordic or even Arctic conditions. And I know you're dealing with some heavy machinery, both for forestry and agriculture. And you're based and hosted by the University of Oulu together with VTT Technical Research Center of Finland. And we have with us Tanya today and also Rauno. And we will start off with a movie, and this time we will actually hear Tanya explain in real time here what it is we're seeing in this movie. And after that, I will engage in a dialogue with Rauno and talk about user experience. So please start the video, and Tanya, you are welcome to comment upon what is it we actually see.
Okay, thank you, Maria. So, Oulozone is a motorsport center owned by the Oulu city and is located around 35 kilometers from Oulu to northeast. In Oulozone, there are several tracks in where you can drive fast by your cars, motorcycles, snowmobiles, and karting cars. In addition, Oulozone can also be used as an education purposes, as is presented in this video. So this video presents the Open Infrapin and Construction Automation workshop in Oulozone last year. The idea of workshop was to practice real constructor site work and problem solving. In addition, the students will receive the latest know-how from the construction technology company experts. Totally of 45 students from the University of Oulu, Oulu University of Applied Sciences, and the Oulu Vocation College were challenged to build the speedway track by using the latest tools, such as real-time cloud service work machines with automated 3D control systems and drones. For example, InfraKit Cloud Service was used as an open InfraPin tool to monitor real-time speed track building process. In the workshop, the students were divided into 6 groups. Each group had 6 different interesting tasks of typical construction site, guided by teachers and technology company experts. The tasks were road designer, speedway project owner and surveyor, construction head manager, BIM coordinator, excavator, truck and wheel loader drivers, and drone monitoring, as we can see in here. So during the workshop, students learn what are the typical tasks of the responsible person in the constructor site and how they're using modern tools. The feedback from the students, teachers, and technology company experts were positive. A practical learning was found to be a motivating way to educating students. Technology companies reported that they have received new ideas from the Oulozone workshop for further product and application development. Based on good learning experience and the feedback from the participants, the development of Oulozone workshop will be continued also in this year, 2020, in the end of October. Oulozone can also be used as a research and development center. As we can see in here, the Structures and Construction Technology Research Group from University of Oulu is demonstrated how the automated control of the movements of the excavator is working. Naturally, in order to receive these excellent results, the close cooperation with the other research groups in the University of Oulu has been established, and also with technology companies for construction site area. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Tanya.
Yay.
We made it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your reflections or describing what it actually was we saw through this video. I hope, Tanya, you will be available in the chat if anyone wanted some further explanations or got very interested in what we could see. I think it's very interesting. You mentioned, Tanya, students several times here. And I also saw in the chat function someone, maybe it was you, Mireille, commenting that we need to consider the indirect users, mentioning customers as one example. And I think, and I know that both you, Tanya, and Rauno have some ideas and thoughts of students actually being the end users, but tomorrow. So whenever they enter the workforce, they are actually the end users. So how can we involve them at an early stage? Is that right, Tanya?
Yeah, it's true that it's very important that the student can get some kind of practical experience before they go to real workplace, because if you don't know anything, it's totally impossible to get a good working place. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. I will then ask Rauno, you're also working with this and being in a very important part of the Oulozone Plus testbed. What are your thoughts on who are the end users? Now we mentioned students, but who are the end users in terms of your testbed?
Thank you very much. Like concerning the end users, I'm thinking that the whole infra construction industry is the customer sector for our efforts in this research and education area and using Oulozone. Students are very soon after completed their studies going to work in infra companies, and also key companies and key players are cooperating all the time with us, offering new technologies for each of the workshop every year, and so we are testing. That has also supported to plan and start cooperated research project together with industry. So it's like important customer for us to even get the research funding. That's a system in Finland. We need to cooperate all the time strongly with industry.
So you have the industry with you already from the project application, kind of. Did I get that right?
That's right. Anytime we start something, we need to cooperate with industry, and that has forced us to cooperate and keep the customer all the time with us.
And is it possible to provide any example, Rauno, of, I mean, in the real world, very concretely, how do you involve the industry in the testbed activities, for example?
Was it 3 years ago, we arranged together with the Destia contractor a specific workshop for the automation operators. Around 20 that kind of expert persons came to Oulozone, and we had a one-day workshop. We studied and learned how to use the 2 types of real-time cloud service related to automated working machinery. And that was a good example of how we had end users there in Oulozone Center.
So you had a group of 20 people or so from the industry actually visiting your site.
Yes, that's right. That was the case that time. So we are aiming to have more and more that kind of company cooperation and include education idea. And I see many potentials in that area coming.
Yeah.
As Tanya introduced our autonomous excavator, that's one case we are aiming more and more autonomous construction site operations, and I think in near future we can offer that kind of education also.
And Rauno, do you Do you share or do you recognize some of the challenges that Klaus was mentioning in the morning, with his 35% actually using the new technology or the components? Is this a picture that you share, or do you have any other comments on that?
Oh, I see that the networking is the key how to utilize this Oulozone center. It's a very versatile center offering lots of possibilities in construction or in forest machinery area also, and car sector. We are going to test some autonomous car functions in Oulozone center, and so there are wide range of possibilities to cooperate with industry and in utilizing very many different technologies. So maybe the key idea is to keep this center open for everyone, every company, and not confidential. Also to have possibility to arrange confidential test experiments. Keep in mind that. I hope this was the answer to your question.
Yeah, definitely, and I think what you mentioned here, that to keep Oulozone Plus then, or the test site open. You said open for everyone, and that's something we have been discussing earlier as well. That the importance of keeping at least parts of the test bed open to the private sector as well. What do you see, Rauno, in terms of challenges, or how are you working with overcoming some of these challenges of developing user-friendly products? I mean, we heard, for example, Thomas mentioning how they in GigaCow are trying to convince the farmers that they are actually going to receive valuable data and valuable information that would be important to them as a business. And the importance of acknowledging that time is scarce, and that the end user might not have that much time to engage in what we are developing. Is this something you're working with in Oulozone, or what are your reflections on that?
Well, I'm starting my answer considering that it has been very interesting to see that this type of very practical earth-moving construction companies are nowadays very interested to utilize also fully autonomous working machinery and real-time cloud service connected also to those machinery and that type. Even some companies have asked, can they test our autonomous excavator case? It's a prototype system only, and so they have offered some work sites which they see that type of system could be very useful. So if the machine is totally unmanned and autonomously working, there is no human operator anymore sitting inside the cabin, and that's why you can consider, has it improved the user interface or not? So that's a good question. Also, that is very impressive at this industry development speed, that thinking is changing to that direction.
I think that's a very good question, and a challenging one, and a question we can bring with us into the group discussion. I mean, one part of digitalizing the bioeconomy inevitably is about automating large parts of the activities. And who is actually the end user in this more and more automated bioeconomy, and how do we interact with that end user? I think that's a very interesting question. So I would like to thank both Rauno and Tanya very much for sharing what it is you're doing at Oulozone, and also your reflections on how you incorporate students in the test bed, and also it seems this close cooperation you have with the industry. Even if I understand you correctly, Rauno, asking for your services and providing test sites themselves for your autonomous excavator, for example. So thank you so much, Tanya and Rauno.